from the first round of Victorian NPL Women's as Calder United host South Melbourne. Certainly the round one performances have raised both the expectations for the spectacle and the contest as the champions of 2019 take on a team that they may never have met in a grand final, but they've certainly tussled for the Premier's plate a number of times over the years. And even in round two, this could be an early indicator. Joey Lynch joins me, Teo Pellizzeri. Joey, what do you make of the match in prospect?
No, well, it should be a very good one, but I mean, coming into this one and having tipped Bulleen to actually get the win over South Melbourne ahead of that round one fixture last week, which ended with South Melbourne handing them a 7-1 loss, I'm probably coming into this one expecting the unexpected. Early season, after an entire year off, round one showed us that you can't take anything for granted so far this season, but hopefully, at the very least, it should be an entertaining contest between two of the more highly credentialed sides in women's football in Victoria.
It is a somewhat still day at Keilor Park, not as windy as it normally is at least. Not a dark cloud in the sky, even though there is a little bit of cloud overhead. And as you can see, South Melbourne in the blue, Calder in their white and purple. And let's go to the teams. Calder, Alyssa Daloste, their goalkeeper, Caitlin O'Brien, Alana Byrne, Alicia Eckie, Harriet Withers, Natasha Dakic, Adriana Taranto, twin sister Mel Taranto, Alexandra Sinclair, Corey Kane and Julia Sardo making up the starting 11, while for South Melbourne, Melissa Barbieri in goal, Sophie Papatsanis, Alex Cheel, Jana Lawson, Amy Medwin, Candela Ferreira-Bass, Akeisha Sandhu, Lucy Johnson, Kat Goff, Zoe Haraxis and Caitlin Pickett. And Joey, the lineups are an interesting mix of W League players who ended their contracts early in order to start the NPL season, while there are still a number of notable absentees of players that are still under contract and therefore can't come back and play just yet.
And maybe perhaps a combination of some other players that are still nursing headaches from Mad Monday and probably not right to turn up anyway. But no, you are right. Interesting, we are seeing the first Melbourne Victory player make an appearance this NPLW season, albeit on the bench variety, in Natalie Martineau. She was watching on the stream last Monday, watching her side win, and seemed very keen to get back into it, so she's back. But yeah, I think probably the most notable name amongst the W League players is Harriet Withers from Melbourne City. Started for a number of games for them, and she will be starting for Calder today. It looks like she'll be starting on the right flank. Got eventually, after several opportunities, got her debut goal for Calder last week, so should be a good game as she applies the press early tag.
So South Melbourne scored after 15 seconds in the season opener on Monday night, and even these first couple of passes suggest that Calder will survive beyond that mark. Of course, it was remarkable as South Melbourne were 5-0 up before the half hour. We expect, or at least hope, for a much closer contest today. And here is a chance for Calder to establish a bit of possession. And Alana Byrne playing it back to Julia Sardo, one of the aforementioned Melbourne City players. And this in midfield is Adriana Taranto, battling for possession and losing out to Candela Ferreira-Bass, gold medalist of 2017. And from right back, Sardo clears away. What do you make of the coaching duel as well? Two coaches, one very long time established and another trying to make a name for himself, but not a bad opening game after waiting a year to finally take charge of the team.
No, well, it should be a very fascinating battle in this one, Tayo, we were trying to figure out what each side would do coming into this one. I mean, we were debating who exactly was going to play as the 6 for South Melbourne in this one, given that Bulleen really didn't make them deploy one, as we'll pause.
And at the edge of the box, Sandhu. Attempt is blocked by Alicia Eckie, and the flag was up for offside regardless, so it wouldn't have mattered, and it'll be a restart for Calder.
Yeah, well, Bulleen didn't really put together enough attacks to make South deploy a holding midfielder, but it looks as though Ferreira-Bass will be taking up the position reflected on the back of her shirt, the 6th role. She's dropping back in front of the back 4, so we'll see how that goes if she makes an interception as well.
So in centre midfield, Taranto trying to slide it to Alex Sinclair, and the flag is up. Sinclair doesn't know, so play is going to be whistled dead. And the very pacey Alex Sinclair, who's probably faster than anyone else on the pitch, dare I suggest, except with one notable exception from South Melbourne, who won't be defending her, perhaps most importantly, and that's Kat Goff we refer to, but an early let-off there, and the referee leaning on the assistant to see a foul, and a restart for Alex Cheel at the centre of defence.
Yeah, it should be a fascinating one. We do know, of course, Calder with that three-headed dragon they had in 2019 of Sinclair, Beard and Zimmerman. They do love to get in behind defences and just get out and run, so that's a danger sign for Hellas. But also the Taranto twins in the middle, so dangerous as well.
And this is Sinclair sending it to Withers, coming across. Alex Cheel with the clearance. And the wind may have jinxed it at kickoff. It's just picked up a little bit, but going across the ground, if anything, the corner flags are all pretty dormant, so that's a good sign. Games here can at times feel as though one team gets the win first and then they change ends and the other team gets to use it in the second half. As the ball is seen out by Papatsanis at left back for South Melbourne. Their men are playing at Lakeside at 5 today, so I've been told that they are going to be looking at the web stream. Hopefully they're showing the stream in the social club as the fans make their way in down there. Those that aren't going to make the mad dash between the two venues. As Candela Ferreira-Bass takes over possession and plays it back to Cheel. This is Zoe Haraxis partnering Cheel at centre-back today. Now to Amy Medwin. Medwin is trying to reverse it back towards Jana Lawson on this right side. South Melbourne get the throw.
As Caitlin O'Brien put the ball out there, she played very well against Alamein last week. Provided a lot of energy on that left flank, so keen to see what she does today.
One of the number of Calder juniors that have graduated into the senior team, something they do so well. So we see an attempted long ball here. Goff gets a first involvement via a deflection, and then it falls to Caitlin Pickett. There's support coming through on the left side. Papatsanis getting forward. Lucy Johnson!
What a finish!
With a sensational strike, and Lucy Johnson scores the opener early for the second game in a row. It may not have been 15 seconds, but the 5th minute will do. And South Melbourne take the lead away at Calder on the back of a very well-placed strike.
Well, we were trying to figure out coming to this one, was South Melbourne for real? Did they just have a good game last week, or are they genuine title contenders? Well, they've taken the lead early in this one. Great hustle from Goff to charge down the attempted clearance and then just moving the ball around, and that finish, just wow, coming straight off the left boot. Deloste really no chance, and as we see Withers getting forward trying to immediately produce an answer, but South Melbourne, bang, just wow.
Well, the assistance flag has intervened a couple of times so far. You wouldn't call it a goal by accident, but Kat Goff didn't know much about that pass, and then Pickett was immediately reacting to sweep through and keep the attack going.
Kept the attack going and then finding Johnson, and well, she's in a rich vein of goal-scoring form. I noticed the TG website took one of her goals away from her and gave it to Chronopoulos. We gave her a hat-trick, though, but she's got another one now and on an early season tear.
Yeah, Sports TG, that's a mistake. It's safe to say the footage will show that Kat Goff scored a hat-trick, as did Lucy Johnson. And playing in an advanced midfielder role, I didn't know she had this attacking side to her game, but it is showing itself early in the season. Calder, the gauntlet's been thrown down to them. Good, perhaps, goal for the neutral to see what comes next in this contest. Withers has already shown what she can do once. Kane, onto the ball she goes, and now Byrne tried to seek out Sinclair on the left side, but it was intercepted. And Alana Byrne turning, going backwards this time. Natasha Dakic and Alicia Eke. These two young defenders, and of course it was Alicia Eke who scored the winning goal in the 2019 Grand Final, Joey.
A Grand Final Calder got to by defeating South Melbourne 6-1 in the semi-final at this ground.
And I think that's the one thing missing from, I guess, the NPLW is a Calder v South Grand Final. They seem to battle for the Premier's plate every year, but either one or the other misses out on making it to the decider. O'Brien here on a weaving run. Going to test the right foot. Cheel reached out to the ball. Adriana Taranto energetically following up, knocking over Johnson in the process. And then Eke is going to steady and go back to Alyssa Deloste. I can hear the refrains of one South Melbourne fan singing down in the corner at the left of our screens, Joey. So
he's here. His pork pie hat.
He's got a good record too, but this ball is into space, and this is what Harriet Withers specialises in. One-on-one against the keeper and hits the outside of the post.
That's a repeat of a scene we saw a few times in Calder's win over Alamein last week. Withers using that devastating pace to get down the right flank, but when it came time to pull the trigger on a number of occasions last week and now again today, just unable to drag the shot back enough to find the back of the net and instead putting it out wide. I mean, on that occasion, maybe Sinclair was a better option on the cutback. She was streaming in.
Well, Withers is getting room, though. That's a challenge for Sophie Papatsanis, and Alex Cheel is the centre back on the left side of defence as well. They're going to have to combine. You see Papatsanis sticking closer to her task here. Advantage was given, but Adriana Taranto stays down. This is Mel Taranto on the ball in the meantime. Her sister is still on her haunches. Calder are going to try to keep attacking. They're not going to put the ball out. Sinclair is a lone hand up forward. He's saying that was a deflection. It's still very much a live ball there to be won. Withers was working laterally.
Taranto's still down.
Adriana Taranto, eventually Alana Byrne puts the ball out. Calder had, I think, a dollar each way there. They kept attacking, and now they decide, actually, we'll put the ball out after all. So not great here for Adriana Taranto. The Twins certainly haven't been immune to injuries over the journey. They might be fearless central midfield players, but Mel's had an ACL. Adriana's had her injuries as well. So it's not like they're infallible midfield players.
No, it's definitely not what you want to see if you are head coach Mark Torcaso in that Calder dugout, going down within 5 minutes here at your home digs and then potentially losing one of those so important players in the midfield that will pull the strings. So still down on her haunches, but now being supported. But to see, is this something that Adriana Taranto can, well, unfortunately, Taya, judging from these scenes, I don't think she will be taking part in much more of this game.
No, the signs aren't great. So looking at the benches for both teams, Calder with Laura Sporanovic a forward, Maya Hazen more of a winger, Ava Grober, Olivia Saron, and Navleen Kaur, who was a write-in on the team sheet without a number today. So Calder with a couple of inexperienced players on their bench. South Melbourne, Freya Crocker, their backup keeper, Natalie Martineau, Miriam Anvari, Julia Budiongo, and Chiara Chronopoulos. Safe to say that's a very attack-minded bench for South Melbourne. They don't really have a spare defender on there, so they would have to shuffle the pack a bit if one of their defenders was to go down or get sent off.
Well, Tay, it doesn't matter if you concede 4 or if you score 5. So
I don't mind that mentality. Let's encourage that. Here is Julia Sato playing it right back for Calder today, who are temporarily down to 10, but they're going to attack regardless because Byrne is hitting it
flags
long.
up.
Ooh, so they're going to have to get this right because the flag's been up a couple of times already for Calder over on the outer side. Taranto still being treated on the sidelines.
Looks like she's going to be able to come back on.
Yep, she's back up, so good news. Fourth officials waving. In the meantime, South Melbourne trying to attack, trying to build on a 1-0 lead. Sato clears the ball away.
You were talking about the win before, and Julia Sato putting Calder back ahead 2-1 after Alamein briefly equalised in that game last week. They eventually turned into a 5-1 win for Calder, but real beneficiary of that win. She was attempting to put in a cross, and the wind just picked it up and hurled it into the back of the net, but she's probably not complaining about it.
And Taranto back in the action, giving possession away.
Yeah, rare chance for a defender to get on the score sheet, although then again, Calder do tend to score a lot of goals in the past few years, haven't they? Upwards of hundreds.
And I think this season, smaller league, I know round 1 may not suggest it, but I think there's potential that if you're a 20 or a 30 goal striker by the end of this season, it may look a little bit less like a computer game and may look a little bit more genuine.
Should be very interesting to see how this season plays out. Of course, the heavy hitters that we are, 2 of them that we've seen today.
Well, I think we're going to learn a lot this weekend. We've got Bayside against Alamein, the FE Emerging playing Bulleen.
That's a big one. That's the big one.
I think we'll learn a lot out of that game.
FE Emerging with a number of players still to come in as well.
Even Box Hill Heidelberg. I think that Box Hill may have won on the opening weekend, but I think most people believe that Heidelberg is the stronger team.
It's a bit of a derby as well, isn't it, Box Hill Heidelberg?
So, after a scrappy couple of attempts to venture down the left sideline, Calder are going to call in Super Boot, and Alana Byrne is just going to pump that down into the attacking half and try to shift the game into Calder's attacking third, and that's what they're going to do via this pass from Kane. Sato getting forward from right back, but that one too close to the keeper. And the rejuvenated Melissa Barbieri in goal, looking comfortable early in this one.
Barbieri, veteran figure. Didn't have to do a lot last week, although she did make one highly impressive save when a bit of a collision and challenge outside of her box led to the ball rocketing towards her, and she reacted quickly.
AK leads Medwin to the ball, and no thoughts of playing back to the keeper. Safety first, straight out to the touchline. Yet to really see either of South Melbourne's wingers impose themselves on the game, Jana Lawson or Kat Goff, so far. It's a battle in the middle of the pitch, and even though they trail, that might suit Calder. Cheel misses the clearance, but has the time to go back and retrieve. Lawson. And Medwin opts to go all the way back to Haraxis, and it's going to draw Sinclair forward. No one else from Calder's having any interest in the press just yet. They will stand back in the defensive half, and they almost get the ball gifted back to them. Kane. Goff almost stole the ball away. Sato. Adriana Taranto. And Kane to Withers. Now Withers can go to work against Papatsanis. Cheel is there to cover as well. So it's an early ball instead.
And the flag was up.
So what does Alexandra Sinclair need to do to just sort of recalibrate and stop straying offside?
Well, I think it's just, to be honest, we know Alex Sinclair knows how to do it. She's been around the women's game here in Victoria for a number of years. She's got the runs on the board. To be honest, Teo, I just think it's a matter of minutes.
So we see Pickett now getting into stride. And credit to Dakic there, because she's managed to outmuscle Caitlin Pickett and win the ball away just when it looked like the South Melbourne attacker may have had the advantage in chasing after that long ball. Kane. Pitch just starting to get a little more stretched. Maybe some more gaps to work in there. Withers. The early ball again. This time Sinclair coming from behind the defender, who did very well, Haraxis. And plays it back to Barbieri, and South Melbourne are happy to keep it moving. Maybe to the detriment of Sunhu here, because Byrne has intervened. Now Alicia Eke. And Amy Medwin with a long clearance. Awkward to judge, and the door was ever so slightly ajar for Jana Lawson. She's almost able to wrestle it open, but Dakic has had a couple of strong showings at the centre of defence.
Well, we're seeing South, when they do get the opportunity to apply pressure, they're immediately on the Calder back four. It did lead to their opening goal, so you can see maybe a clear instruction from Coach Sam Young that he wants his forwards to use that pace and get in quickly. As we see another shot coming in now, but that one's going to be just wide from Lucy Johnson, looking for number 2.
Well, we've barely called her name since the goal, so why not? Just trying to remind everyone of what she can do.
Well, I mean, strikers don't get paid based on how many passes they make. It's all about goals on the score sheet for attackers, even if she is playing as more of an attacking midfielder in this one. Number 9 on her back.
So the restart's a short one from Alyssa Daloste. That pass from Dakic, a bit of a letdown as the ball goes back to South Melbourne. If you've only just joined us, the goal came after 5 minutes, so still only 17 into this match. As the sun comes out, you see a couple of players shielding their eyes as they look towards the right of screen. Sinclair over around the ball. Haraxis wanted to drive it towards Lawson. Lawson's going to veer central. Now working from the left side, Jana Lawson. Just trying to create an overload of sorts. And that pass giving the ball back. Sato apologises for it mid-play. But Alana Byrne has made sure that Calder aren't made to pay for it by deflecting it out for a throw.
We were talking before about what Sinclair needs to do to stay on side, and to be honest, I think it's just a matter of, as I was saying, getting minutes under her belt. Sinclair, one of the players without a W League contract, so hasn't really played for the better part of over a year, and so much about timing those runs is about just your instincts and knowing when to go, and you can only develop that with minutes and with form. So she'll get there eventually, no doubt about that. It's just a matter of getting the runs on the board this season.
Saw there Sinclair was appealing for handball, went back the other way and came to little. Ferreira Bass just drove it out for a goal kick. There's something about getting to watch right up close as we are here today at Keilor Park. Alex Cheel demands so much out of the South teammates, and you see them when they make a mistake, when they miss-hit a pass, they are quite stern with each other. There is a really strong, dare I say, professional mentality to the South players with how they want to play out there and the accountability they have amongst each other.
No, well, it's absolutely what you want from your centre-back, isn't it? You want them to be in commands and directing traffic. It's their job to do so. They probably have one of the best views on the pitch, as we also see maybe Shield just sneaking over onto the left flank there, something Calder's going to want to keep an eye on. But absolutely, two of the more professional sides meeting today in Calder and Southdale.
So Johnson scored a free kick from not too dissimilar distance on Monday night. Does she try it again or try to find a teammate? She is going to go direct, and it is much tougher to do at Keilor Park on a breezy day than it is on a still night on the synthetic at the Veneto Club, as demonstrated by how far that attempt missed by. I don't think Johnson bluffed that very well. I think she was loading up for the direct shot as soon as she stood over the ball.
Got to enjoy the confidence at least.
Well, it was a great strike, so while you're hot, why not try to replicate as many goals as you can. Here's Withers. Oh, Medwin had to make that intervention because Taranto was breaking through the left. Calder haven't had much possession in the last 2 or 3 minutes. South owning the ball at present.
But at the same time, maybe you don't mind that if you're Calder, because you're able to get set up in your back four and not allow these wingers to maybe get in behind you where they can be so dangerous.
Pickett trying to hold up the ball. Byrne. Straight to Ferreira Bass and Sandhu. And got straight into a tangle of arms with Mel Taranto, who certainly doesn't appear to believe it was a foul, but the referee there explaining. Jasmine Steger, today's referee? Yes. And they take the free kick quickly, South Melbourne. Medwin lifting across. Goff gets underneath it, and it's turned off the line. It wouldn't have counted. Lawson had the close range attempt on the end of Kat Goff's header. And I suspect the offside means that Daloste misses out on being credited with a very good stop.
No, but danger signs there for Calder. South having a lot of the ball in the past few minutes, but not really creating a proper chance until then. But when they did, very nice one. The height of Kat Goff coming into it, knocking the ball down, and the lineswoman's flag just intervening and stopping the danger.
Goff again with a header to initiate a passage of play here. Now with another elevated cross, Daloste's got to read it, and reads it well against the near post. South Melbourne turning the heat up a bit though. Calder looking for a response, looking to just get a feel for the ball. Ferreira Bass is whistled for a foul. Referee had a better view than us, I guess, looking at it from the other side, Joey.
Well, hers is the only opinion that matters. Now,
We've got a sub coming up here, so Sophie Papatsanis is coming off, and Natalie Martineau is coming on. I wonder, could this potentially be tactical?
It has to be. She doesn't.
Due to the danger that Withers has presented, and they've moved Amy Medvin over to left back. And I'm not sure who's going in at right back just yet. Might be Akeisha Sund, who has a history of playing at full back, as Cheel wins this header. And as the ball goes down to the corner, I guess when you have 5 subs, you've got the luxury, but there's still the morale element of it when you're making a sub in the 22nd minute.
Absolutely. I mean, very early doors. And I mean, a sub in the 22nd minute when you're up 1-0 against the title favourites. But if you are Coach Sam Young, I guess you playing for a club like, or coaching for a club like South Melbourne, where there are high expectations each and every year. part of that professionalism which they espouse and demand. Wins are important, and if he thinks it's what's required to get the win, well, I guess for the next 70 minutes, we'll see if it comes to fruition.
And indeed, Akeisha Sandhu has gone right back, so that's a position she played primarily with Geelong Galaxy a couple of seasons ago under Kat Smith. And then, of course, followed Kat to Alamein, where she was most recently before South Melbourne. So clearly, Martineau being back from the W League didn't play a huge number of minutes in any given game really over the course of the season. So it's not like she was doing much more than training and the odd cameo on weekends. But I mean, she'll be sharp.
Sharper than most. As I said, unless she went that pretty hard on Mad Monday.
Mad Monday, yeah. Johnson trying to drive it over to Sandhu, who is venturing forward. And now Calder will try to explode back in the other direction. Cheel and Haraxis combine. Now Johnson again says to Sandhu, you run again. Go and retrieve that ball. And that is courageous defending from O'Brien. Body on the line stuff. South Melbourne try to keep play going quickly. Byrne has been combative today. Ferreira Bass. Playing it to no one in particular over on the left side, just a cause to go and chase. Sato got there first and then got an unlucky deflection. Medwin playing a 1-2 with Pickett very effectively. Medwin from the left side driving it in, and O'Brien is first to the ball. Now the Taranto Twins.
Acres of space on the left flank if they can get an overlap going.
Corey Kane spins for Sato. Dakich's long ball over the head of Goff, but Withers is coming from a long way back here, and that is Melissa Barbieri's ball to claim. Wind is, if anything, favouring the left of screen now. It is going to be a factor at times in any given game here. Sandhu, just a hopeful ball. That one is going straight to the keeper. Byrne can't connect with Sinclair here. So did Calder have a response to the South Melbourne sub, or do they just keep doing what they were doing?
Well, to be honest, I reckon they'll probably just keep doing what they're doing. I imagine they'll probably see that as what they're doing is working, as the South Melbourne bench trying to figure out ways to counter them. And that's Ferreira Bass there falling a bit asleep. But no, I mean, if anything, even though you're down 1-0, you might take a bit of confidence from that if you are Calder, that you've got, at least you might perceive that you've got South on their heels and reacting to you. Confidence boost for Harry Withers.
Ferreira Bass trying to lift a long ball down the middle. Martineau's first real chance to get involved as Alex Cheel commits a foul. And free kick taken quickly by Corey Kane, and this is Withers in behind on the tight angle. Withers took the shot again, and Sinclair was there in the middle. Very tight window to try and aim into, either for the pass or the direct shot. And in the end, the safe hands of Melissa Barbieri is where it ended up.
Yeah, just feel as though, regardless of what she ended up choosing to do, cross or shot, maybe just a couple of metres earlier would have been the better option.
Calder building, though, and perhaps already vindication for that South Melbourne sub that Harriet Withers needs attention. And she tries to work through the gears here, and Medwin proves the obstacle that can't get past this time. See the South Melbourne subs all watching on quite eagerly this passage of play. Sato, a tumbling cross cleared from the edge of the box. Ferreira Bass had real issues bringing that ball out of the sky. Martineau out to Goff. Goff plays the early pass, but straight into the feet of Mel Taranto. And now switch of flanks. Sato sees O'Brien, and you mentioned the space on the left, Joey. It is there to be exploited. Although that pass is a bit more telegraphed. And Akeisha Sandhu hears the shout from Melissa Barbieri. Oh, and Barbieri
charged down.
The clearance has been deflected, and she's back on her line now. Withers takes a touch, will steady, feeds it to the edge of the box. Adriana Taranto, and ran into three players, kicked the shin of Ferreira Bass. The referee I believe initially may have waived that advantage, but South gave it away. Sato back with a shot, and that one tumbles wide left with the aid of a deflection, it seems. So it's going to be a corner kick, but a bit of chaos there, and Melissa Barbieri nearly undone by an unkind deflection.
Well, just thinking back, actually, in not her last game, given that this is round 2, but at the last game of the 2019 season, a bit of a mix-up in the defence at Alamein allowed Bulleen to score a goal in that semi-final, and maybe another mix-up there, but Bubs, as she goes by, not punished for it. Probably would have been... Nobody would have been filthier with Bubs than herself had that goal gone in. And then we saw Sato trying the long-range effort. Maybe the confidence of that freak goal from last week again from the right back.
With Duranto standing over the corner. Sinclair got plenty of power behind that, but at close range it's deflected out for another corner. And this is as much sustained pressure as we've seen from Calder so far today.
Well, I mean, with this wind, just a short corner.
And headed away by Alex Cheel. Sandhu, a sliced clearance. Byrne. Edge of the box, and Haraxis held her nerve against the much more experienced Sinclair. Ferreira-Bass just trying to get some breathing space for South Melbourne to break out of their defence, so they've survived being under the pump there for consecutive corners.
The wind picking up here. I mean, we saw an Olympico win the W League Grand Final, but especially last week as well, there were a few corners from, well, that corner down there that really tested the goalkeepers. So,
this time the flag was down, but Sinclair couldn't connect.
I hesitate to...
I'm going to have to pull you up there. I think we saw an own goal in the second game in a row. I'm gonna stop doing this eventually.
Every party needs a pooper, that's why they invited you.
For those who didn't listen to Monday's game, Joey and I discussed the merits of whether or not it was an own goal or not, but we'll stay with the game in front of us right now because O'Brien is singing off Lawson, albeit giving away a throw.
The merits of Kaya Cooney-Cross's goal in the W League Grand Final, that's the subject of the debate.
So we're waiting for... Just in a still moment, this could be a chance for a long throw. That's what Lawson does. Dakic's header falls kindly. Kane to Sinclair. He's going to have to break from very, very deep. Haraxis knows this, tries to hold her up, and then can't combine with Withers. Two speedsters in that Calder forward line. Here's Kat Goff, who's been quiet so far. Sato has stopped her from getting on any of those devastating runs that we saw in round 1. As the pass is now played back to Barbieri. Sandhu does well to control that tricky ball. O'Brien in on Lawson. Enough maybe to affect the pass. And Kane now steady from central midfield for Calder. And even though that is sliced away by Haraxis, it's going to go down to Barbieri as we cross half an hour. South Melbourne 1, Calder 0. Lucy Johnson's goal. Johnson on the ball right here. Johnson with a long ball. Wanted Martineau. Headed away by Dakic. Yeah, shouting in the middle from Adriana Taranto at Withers. Eventually the pass was attempted, and Haraxis does very well to get in the right position and block it away.
No, Bubs just directing traffic there. She noticed the acres of space down the left flank and was screaming at her defence to get back and cover it. Now there's a bit of space on the right flank for South.
Pickett timed the run, but I've got to say O'Brien is very quick and able to just close down space. That's why Lawson has had issues doing what she loves to do, and that's run with the ball as well.
Looks like O'Brien is definitely continuing her strong form from round 1 into this one.
Sliding off Eke's head down to Daloste. Now Lana Byrne. Kane caught in possession by Ferreira-Bass, but it isn't going to punish Calder. Martineau backtracking, trying to help out, was pushed over. That had a cannon effect because even though Martineau sprung straight back up, Alexandra Sinclair is a bit sore. Now Haraxis plays wide to Suntu with Lawson. And again, O'Brien sticking to Lawson, just making everything a little bit difficult. And then Lawson showed her the ball and O'Brien put it behind, nicked it away. It's a good little duel between those two down this right wing for South Melbourne. And they get a corner as their reward.
A few big bodies in there for South Melbourne as well.
So Johnson's probably the tallest player, but you suspect that Kat Goff is the most likely to contend for a header here. Pickett is lurking at the back of the area as well as Suntu drives the ball, skims off Ferreira Bass. Goff will sweep back onto it. Second time ball is a first time cross, and it's cleared away by Dakic. Ferreira Bass mishit the attempt to clear the ball, and now Withers is one-on-one against Cheel. The entire South defence are backtracking, trying to help out. Withers takes the steadying touch and then fires it into the hands of Barbieri.
No, Cheel's done very well there. She's been able to hold up Withers enough so that South could get numbers back in the middle of the park, forcing Cheel out onto an angle, at which point Barbieri was able to close down the angle towards goal and make a relatively comfortable save at the end. Excellent defending from Cheel.
So Harriet Withers continues to ask a lot of questions of this South Melbourne defence, but case in point, they've had the answers. So as this game winds toward half-time, Calder will feel as though they've done enough to score an equaliser here. Melissa Barbieri hasn't been forced into a save of any real desperation just yet. Medman throws down the line. Pickett just got the feet right to steady on the ball. Johnson being harassed by Byrne. Corralled and forced backwards as a result. All the way to the halfway line. Eventually Cheel tries to drive it forward. Gave it straight to Withers. And then another deflection, which might just fall kindly for Calder. Haraxis came across, but Sinclair is there, and then Cheel takes preventative measures and says, enough of this. Oh, and the central referee ignores the flag of the assistant and says, keep playing. She got the ball.
She is the boss.
And now Calder win it back again. So now it is 3-on-4. Calder trying to sweep it to the edge of the box, and Barbieri has known when to come out of her line. But a couple of, again, nervy, but ultimately not so nervy moments for this South defence.
No, you've got to give props to Alana Byrne there. The two successive attacks, the first one really eventuates because of the haranguing and pressure she's applying in the midfield, and then nipping in there again to force a turnover. Some great play there from Alana Byrne as she tries to spark her side to life.
Martineau and Goff. Now Pickett knew that Lawson was in space. Gets the dink over. And against the byline, Dakic is able to steer it out for only a throw. It is such a big pitch here at Keilor Park. You can get lost on the wings or down in the corners. There's many occasions where players just have open space to break into. Eke against Lawson. Now Pickett's cross. Sato with the clearance. Withers. Medwin. Loses out to Taranto. And Adriano Taranto plays it to Sinclair. And look at the closing speed of Cheel getting back against Sinclair, who uses her strength to hold off. Withers is in space. How's the left foot of Withers?
It's good.
It's the equaliser for Calder, and they will feel it is no less than they deserve. And the two speedsters, Sinclair and Withers, combined, and yet it was a bit of craft and a bit of smarts rather than outright pace that draw us level.
No, absolutely. That was great play from Calder there. They're beginning to win these midfield battles now in there, and you can just see there Taranto getting it started, forcing the turnover, bringing it up the field, playing it off to the veteran Mouse, an understanding of Sinclair, not using her burning pace, as you said, Taya, but instead ducking and weaving, and then finding Withers, who very composed finish. She's had a couple of opportunities in this game on her right boot where she maybe could have been a bit more composed and thought about pulling the trigger a bit earlier, but on that occasion did the absolute right thing and drew us level here late in the first half. Now we look to see, can South respond? You can also see Barbieri was absolutely furious to having conceded. Not sure how much he could have done.
Well, I guess Barbieri knows, having trained with Harriet with us all summer, whether or not she's got a left peg. Based on what you saw in the W League, Joey, do we know if Withers is two-footed? That was a good finish. It was a really...
Yeah, we might have our answer now.
Yeah, it was a composed finish under the circumstances. Of course, was a prolific scorer with South United in the Queensland NPL, but it's one of those leagues, Joey, that some years the top scorer is scoring 60, 80 goals. Yeah. So you can look at the numbers, and it's hard to assess whether or not it's a mustard figure.
Well, she's got 2 on the season now.
Martineau playing it to Lawson. South Melbourne want to restore their lead before the halftime break. Johnson loses out Byrne. Physical and a chance to break again. Has choices and then didn't see Ferreira Bass right in front of her. Taranto went through and challenged, but Sundhu, teammate from NTC days, is able to take the ball off her feet. And now Ferreira Bass just calms things down. Haraxis loads up for a long ball. Shanks it straight to Kane. Corey Kane. Now Mel Taranto. Sato's making a run. And the ball has just enough on it to get over the line. Out for a throw in.
I think Corey Kane's presenting a maybe underappreciated role in that Calder midfield. She doesn't get forward as much as the others, maybe doesn't get on the score sheet as much, but she really is in there to just compose Calder and make these important interventions, kickstart things. So keen to see how she gets on this season, Corey Kane.
It's just got one of those wonderful rhythmic names as well that lends itself to commentary, doesn't it? So you can't help but support these players that roll off the tongue. Here's Goff, not quite the same, and intercepted by Alicia Eke. And now Mel Taranto keeps it moving. Haraxis.
I've got to say that South are looking composed though on the ball under this Calder pressure. They're not folding like a lot of teams have done when Calder turn up the heat. To be very well coached, trying to make triangles and get things going.
Well, and they've brought on Natalie Martineau as a more advanced midfielder. Ferreira Bass is definitely sitting deeper. So, again, as the pieces of the W League slowly come back to NPL, we continue to get our questions answered about who's going to play what role. And, of course, South do have
a big name to come.
Yes, they've got Gabe Marzano, who was on Victory's squad, on their own squad list. Whether or not that is indicative of whether she's going to play is another thing, of course. Because the roster rules mean you need a certain number of players over a certain age, and you have a certain number of loyalty players. Anyway, it'll be a huge coup if she does end up on the field for them. And a competitive 11 to get into. Let's not forget that. Here is Johnson. Sweeping it out wide to Lawson. And Lawson hits the ball, decelerating, and now finds a little burst again at the byline, and it's over the head of Pickett in the box. And the ball slowly works its way out. One the score. We've now crossed 41 minutes in this first half. So, for those of you watching on the stream, live graphics today, of course.
Of course, this time on Monday night it was 6-0, so a lot more of a tight contest for Hellas to deal with in this one.
I imagine that Calder, if there was a very analysed piece of footage, that first 30 minutes, if not first half of Spillane versus South would have been it from the Calder coaches, if not the players themselves.
Of course, at the same time, this time last week for Calder, they were up 3-1, so both sides in a bit more of a fight.
An apology offered as that ball slices out for a throw, and Calder reload from deep in defence. Sinclair, it's a great flick header on, no one following through. Perfect technique, but to no avail. Barbieri clears. And that little nudge on from Johnson almost found its way to Lawson. Last touch off O'Brien.
This one, you can see the flick on from Sinclair, maybe a bit of instinct, because in this contest, they're playing with 2 up front in this contest, and traditionally, of course, Calder play with 3 up front. So years past, perhaps that flick on from Sinclair is being run onto by an Angie Beard or a Catherine Zimmerman, but on this occasion, Withers over on the other flankers. That header's cleared away. Withers over on the other flank. There's just nobody there making the overlap.
Johnson, Medwin, and Sato has both Goff and Medwin to deal with on that flank, and has done so with aplomb. Withers just motoring through the middle, and the defence opened up on Withers. One-on-one against Barbieri is denied. Barbieri composed, and Withers has had 4 really good chances, scored 1, but the chances keep coming for her.
Well, I mean, just call Harriet Withers Moses, because the sea parted in front of her on that one. I think maybe the South Melbourne defence just switching off a bit and going to close down the passing angles and forgetting that she's allowed to keep running. It was very dangerous.
So South Melbourne won't be happy with that. They will be thankful that they got away with it. You suspect that might be the subject of the halftime team talk. In the meantime, Goff is trying to make it a bit of a moot point. If South can restore their lead before the break, it'd be a bonus, given this game started with an early South goal and has gradually seen Calder create more and more as the match has gone on. Ferreira Bass to Medwin. Now Sinclair, in on Medwin, and easy decision for the referee. And the good news is that after initially throwing the head back, Medwin isn't going to go on with any sort of protest or try to sell the referee on the contact. And it's good that the two of Medwin accepts Sinclair's apology and the game restarts. And is on the ball right here. Martineau. Goff to Medwin. South have had real issues with Julia Sato on the ball right here. They are not getting any joy down that left flank. Calder by contrast are switching. And this is Mel Taranto. Withers is in space. Taranto decides against the early ball. So Withers drops back deep, tries to complete a 1-2, but Suntu got a little deflection on it. Off the inside of the knee. Adriana Taranto now. O'Brien makes a run. Calder sensing an opportunity. Caitlin O'Brien at the edge of the box. And then has to double back. Hits the cross. Sinclair. Unable to turn past Medwin. And so Goff is there for South Melbourne. Only Pickett ahead of the ball at the moment. Fourth official just checking the watch. Trying to find out how much stoppage time will end a good high standard first half between what we suspect are the two teams contending for the Premier's plate in NPL Victoria Women's this season. And indeed there will be no stoppage. So Joey Lynch, your thoughts on Calder United 1, South Melbourne 1?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head just then, Teo. It's been a very intriguing, very entertaining in a tactical sense game. Both sides trying to figure the other side out. We saw the early substitution when Papatsianis coming off for coach Sam Young, and then adjusting the back line after going up 1-0 as well. So it wasn't like they were under the cosh at that point, but it's been really intriguing. And then Harriet Withers discovering or showing us all her left foot, one or the other, to bring it back to 1-1. Putting this game, I think it's really well poised to provide an entertaining second half, and perhaps it will be won by whichever coach is able to just tinker and adjust and find that X factor for the second 45.
So stay with us. You'll have the countdown clock to keep you company through the halftime break, and when we return to live pictures, it'll be the second half here from Keilor Park at halftime. Calder United 1, South Melbourne 1. Welcome back to Keilor Park. Don't mind the plane going overhead. We're about to kick off the second half of this round 2 NPL Victoria women's match. And at the start of the second half, it is currently Calder United 1, South Melbourne 1. South scoring in the 5th minute through Lucy Johnson. Calder equalising through Harriet Withers in the 37th. And there has been one sub in the first half. Natalie Martineau came on for Sophie Papatsanis in what appeared to be a tactical switch. Otherwise, we've had no other subs, no other cards either. Teo Pellizzeri and Joey Lynch with you for this one. And Joey, again, still conditions as we kick off the second half, but we know that that'll change as the second half wears on.
No, it should be hopefully an entertaining second half as well as that plane. You can just see it above in the sky, disappears now, part of the cultural heritage of Melbourne's West, the planes overhead. No, but it should be an excellent game as we see Calder trying to jump onto things very early on. You would have to say that they shaded the first half, Calder United, eventually getting an equaliser, which they probably deserved on the balance of way. And I think if you're South Melbourne, you've just really got to focus on, at times, they were defending very deep and there was just nobody linking up, as we'll pause briefly.
Lawson down the right side and, well, maybe looked a little bit more promising than it turned out to be after her first touch.
Yeah, South were getting numbers back, but the problem they were facing then is they had maybe 2 or 3 players up by the halfway line and nobody between the defence and the attack to provide that all-important link-up play. So maybe that's something they could focus on in the second stanza, which is see Calder getting forward quickly.
And it is through Adriana Taranto. Chill comes across to dispossess her and then stops the ball at the byline to Medwin. Calder has made one interesting positional switch in this second half. They've left Harriet Withers over on the far side of the pitch, meaning she is now paired against Akeisha Sandhu, and Amy Medwin, who was switched into left back specifically to deal, we believe, with the threat of Withers, is now watching Alex Sinclair. So South were reactive, well, almost preemptive in the first half. I wonder, will they swap their fullbacks here in the second? In the meantime, they're nearly scoring as it's cleared away by Sardo to deny Natalie Martineau. Follow-up from Johnson is knocked off the top of the area. That ended up being quite a decent chance, and especially challenging with the goalkeeper having to look into the sun, which has appeared from behind a cloud.
Oh, maybe somebody should be getting Del Oste a cap, because the sun has definitely come out and it's very, very bright on this Saturday afternoon here in Melbourne.
And there's going to be a new challenge for the keeper. But yeah, interesting that Sinclair and Withers have retained their respective sides of the pitch rather than swap at half-time.
And, well, that also opens up the possibility as well. Now you've got Harriet Withers, she'll be able to cut inside on her right boot and shoot as well. So another consideration for South to deal with. Sinclair, of course, very well versed to just switching and playing all 3 positions up front. She's done it for years for Calder.
It's Barbieri is distributing out to Medwin. Looks up and sees Taranto and takes her on and breezes past. So now being pursued by Byrne. That pass is quite firmly hit, and even though Goff is quick, Goff is quick enough to chase it down.
She's very quick.
And then loses the ball in the step over, but gives it back to Medwin. First time cross, edge of the box, Pickett, Johnson, and that was a well-worked move in the end, but Alicia Eke made the block. And sliding in, Taranto spills the ball. Withers trying to do it all solo. Adriana Taranto following up. Sea of legs and blocked away. Ferreira Bass to Jana Lawson. Under-hit pass draws Caitlin Pickett back towards the halfway line. And as the build-up play just slows down a bit, Medwin combines with Johnson to go and chase her first touch and then plays it back to Haraxis. Not afraid of playing a long ball, Zoe Haraxis, but that one is straight to Alicia Eke. Ferreira Bass. Lawson looks up, knew that Sandhu was making a run. Sandhu cuts in. He's going to try and wheel around, and scoring is Martineau at great personal expense as she slams into the post. But it is 2-1 for South Melbourne, and Nat Martineau will get up and belatedly celebrate, putting her team into the lead.
I was about to say she might have concussed herself in putting South Melbourne back ahead, but she's done so. and she's running it off. But what you've got to say, Taylor, what an excellent move from South Melbourne, knocking the ball around, trying to find an angle. The cross comes in. We've already seen once Martignon coming so close to turning in one of the balls from the right, and on this occasion she does so. Really well worked from South Melbourne, just staying calm, composed, and making Calder pay.
So the evergreen veteran Nat Martineau subbed on during the first half and scoring her first goal of the season. And it was pretty heavy impact. We're just looking back at it on the stream. Great little assist for Sandhu. But yeah, Martineau, that could have gone a whole lot worse than it did in the end. Calder now need to go and find another response. They'll feel as though after all that hard work to get back on level terms in the first half, they've lapsed here, and South Melbourne again strike first.
Well, Martin, she's a Canadian, is she not? They breed them tough up north.
49th minute, the goal.
Former LSU Tiger at one point, wasn't Martin as well?
Correct. So, and then I think one of the previous incarnations of the Pro Women's League, the next tier down, I think she got onto a list and played for a couple of teams, but ultimately Australia has been the answer for her to prolong a career well into her 30s.
Well, she's a W League champion now, isn't she? Gets the medal.
Here is Pickett. South trying to capitalise on this momentum. Lawson hits the byline. Lawson cutting it back. And that's a fantastic goal! Johnson's got a double. Rose to the volley, and it was sweetly timed to make it 3-1.
Well, we were talking about tactical adjustments at half-time, Taylor. We were referencing the change up front for Calder. Well, they're going to have to do something about that defensive left flank for them. Twice now in quick succession, South Melbourne breaking down the right flank, whipping a ball in, and unmarked players in the centre of the area, just relatively simple finishes from close range. I mean, it's an excellent ball in, but it's just breaking down defensively for Calder United, and now sitting in a 2-goal hole.
Lucy Johnson's got 5 goals in just over a game and a half. South Melbourne have scored 10 this season already.
Against probably, coming into the season, the 2 best teams, one would have thought.
Yeah, so Calder now, if the first half was their answer to having the gauntlet thrown down, I think the better analogy here is they've got a mountain to climb. Finding themselves 2 goals in the hole, looking into the sun. Don't underestimate that as a potential factor, unless you can duck back behind a cloud. And the South Melbourne team, free scoring to start the campaign, have struck twice early in the second half to separate themselves from Calder here. And Laura Sporanovic has been sent to warm up, of course. Was a star for South Melbourne, winning a gold medal, multiple golden boots, pretty much everything there was to win with South back in the early 2010s.
She did score a brace last week, did Sporanovic, but she has also been coming back from an injury, so perhaps explaining why she started on the bench for the hosts today. But very handy addition to bring off the pine if you are down 2 goals is Sporanovic.
So they've scored 2 in 2 minutes here, South Melbourne. Are they going to do to Calder what they did to Bolina? The goal's just going to keep coming. As this team gets a feel for it, they can't stop scoring. Barbieri, ambitious switch of flanks, and they can't quite pull it off. Johnson takes possession. Heard the shout of Martineau, set her a task. Martineau got there, but they're going to find through a return ball that Ferreira Bass has got possession, and then she gives it away. O'Brien should be feeling under siege at the moment. Both goals coming through her flank at the start of this second half. Kane caught in possession, Ferreira Bass. And this is shades of Monday night, because now South Melbourne, after winning the ball in midfield, are breaking forward again. Goff, last thing Calder could afford is for her to start getting involved. Kat Goff holds the ball up. Johnson heard the shouts, was awake to the danger of Withers.
You just see that left-footed dominance of Kat Goff there. Didn't want to play a pass with her right boot and had to turn it round.
Sandhu just trying to drive the ball once she got closed down. Deflection was a kind one. Ferreira Bass, Calder need to stand tough here. Johnson. Oh, well, when you've got the hot boot, why not? But that one's gone over the fence behind the goal.
I'm just looking it up, so the last time Calder conceded 3 goals in a game,
2018?
2019, the 5th of May 2019, when they defeated Alamein 4-3. So go back to the last time they lost a game conceding 3. Well, it was only a few weeks prior to that, when they went down 3-1 to Box Hill. A couple of weeks after that, sorry, when they went down 3-1 to Box Hill.
Box Hill. So, what's that? 11 months, more or less, since plus 1 year.
Yeah, plus 1 year.
So, 23 months since Calder have conceded 3 in a game and lost. A lot of time to go. Plenty of opportunity to get themselves back into the game, but South Melbourne are a team that they must be floating on top of the ground at the moment to have started the season like this. Here is Withers, Medwin, forcing her to double back. Sinclair, South have got their defence organised. Cheel giving instructions from the penalty spot as Withers hits across. And it's going to be all in the area. Sandhu sees it out the back and finds the fence.
And the other problem you will now find if you are Calder is that you're down 2. By necessity, you're going to have to start chasing this game and throwing numbers forward. But in doing so, you're going to expose yourself to the pace of these South Melbourne attackers in transition. There's going to be a lot of space to operate in if South can take advantage of Calder chasing the game.
Goff didn't like any of the passes forward, so defers back to Cheel. Now Sandhu sets Lawson away. Eke came across. And it becomes a duel. Lawson retakes possession. Down in the corner. See how busy she is here. Martineau, the late ghosting run, can't keep possession under duress.
Got to give credit to Lawson for the way she started his second stanza, just absolutely torturing Calder on that right flank.
So Laura Sporanovic is one of the players getting readied for Calder on the sidelines. Not 100% sure. It might be Ava Grober or Maya Hazen, who's also getting ready. Looks like the paperwork's meandering its way towards the 4th official. South would love to score a 4th. In the meantime, deflected cross. Dakic clears. Over the head of Sinclair, though. Sandhu can't control the ball as it goes out. Calder's possession right in front of the South Melbourne bench. They'll be feeling pretty good at the moment.
Good time to be a South Melbourne fan in general at the moment. Your team's top of the NPL Victoria. They're top of the NPLW Victoria. So it looks like they'll stay in it unless Calder can stage a mighty comeback in this one.
Johnson tried to send it wide to the left, and the backtracking Withers was able to win the ball. Byrne looks up. Ooh, and Sinclair was a step offside, so knew to pull up and not go chasing after a lost cause. The Calder subs are waiting by the 4th officials table, so next break in play, we'll see some changes. Sandhu keeping the ball at her feet and then sending to Lawson. Lawson low through the box, and that's where South have been so deadly. They've had 2 goals created through that right flank already in this half, but that time the Calder defence stuck to their task, and that'll lead us to the subs. The first of which...
Burn off for Sporanovic.
So Laura Sporanovic wearing the number 2. Very confusing to have a striker wearing the number 2. And the other change is indeed going to be Maya Hazen, and she's coming on for Alicia Eke. So
attacking substitution.
Does that mean Calder are going to adjust their back line, or is Hazen going to go into centre back?
Ooh.
Most recently, I think, seen in the NPLW at Box Hill.
Yes, I believe so.
Looks as though she's run right in there, straight swap at the centre of defence. So Calder's turn to make some changes after South acted in the first half. Pickett takes on O'Brien, who played a blind pass. Lawson came in and picked it off. And now for the cutback. No, too close to the keeper. Johnson was running through the left side of the box.
No, but if you are South, you're just going to keep going down that right flank again and again and again until Calder prove that they can defend it. A lot of joy early.
Sparanovic's first chance to get involved against Alex Cheel, two players who will know each other's game inside out from being teammates and opponents for a number of years. Sparanovic now gets the first touch. Chance to protect the ball and steer it back towards Adriano Taranto, who doesn't mind a long shot. This is on a tight angle, goes for the cross instead. Medwin hooks it away, only as far as Sparanovic and fellow gold medalist Ferreira Bass comes in to pick her pocket at the last. That was vital. Lawson takes a look up, decides to slowly work up some speed. And eventually running at full pelt down to the corner, still able to defeat O'Brien in that space and takes on Hazen, the sub. Flashes it through the box, no one on the end of it initially. Johnson will chase it down. Johnson loads up a high cross. Pickett attacks the header and didn't create the power to trouble Daloste.
But it's, once again, excellent movement from South and seeing a bit of flash of danger from the left. Probably not one that they drew up down the ball in there, but free header in the area and just more signs maybe that Calder's defensive structure is breaking down and they need to just calm down and just figure out, okay, here are the attackers are coming in, get a body on them.
You talk about closed borders and the inability to recruit internationals. Calder have had a history of American defenders that they've brought in. Keisha Meyer, perhaps the most significant one. Of course, they're relying on pretty much a homegrown defence, many of them Calder juniors, to try and keep South Melbourne out today. So the ball goes out for a call to throw and they get a chance to just move the chess pieces up the board here as we've gone 1 minute beyond the hour mark. 3-1 in favour of South.
And I'm not sure if it's coming through on the effects microphone, but here at the ground it's very, very easy to hear Melissa Barbieri directing traffic for South Melbourne in defence, and that's got to be so valuable to just have a veteran like Barbieri that's able to just serve as a coach on the field and just let the defence know where they need to be at all times.
That's an excellent point. Of course, Barbieri was an NPLW coach for a season and a half with Heidelberg before returning to playing and becoming an assistant coach at W League level. Golf. That pass took a deflection off Mel Taranto, but South will get the ball back. Pickett's the target here, but Calder have got the numbers. Hazen screening across. Sardo hugging the touchline, Julia Sardo, but the ball just stayed in. Withers. It's all being done in a very narrow corridor of space here for both teams. Sinclair comes across. Shouts for handball, but play continues. And Ferreira Bass at least clears the ball into some space, albeit owned by Alyssa Daloste.
You can see the adjustments since Sparanovic has come on. Calder has reverted to their more standard attacking front three now. Sinclair central, Sparanovic on the left as she's going to try to chase this down, but Bubs all the way and Harriet Withers on the right. So a bit more of an attacking look for Calder in that final third.
And again, just cool and calm as you like, clearing the ball first time, Barbieri, and it immediately moves South Melbourne back into their attacking half. Martineau. O'Brien's done well to jump the pass. Sparanovic working deep. Twisting and turning and playing back to Daloste. Corey Kane. Ambitious pass. Edwin makes the intercept. Goff. Step over, came unstuck. Now Mel Taranto to Haraxis. Sinclair just worried her out of the ball. Has Withers there in support. Is going to dig it into the box. It's there to be won. Sparanovic on the turn and did not get purchase on the shot And that was a better chance than maybe initially it looked, because if Spranovic strikes that truly, it's probably 3-2.
Yeah, Barbieri caught in two minds there. Initially was coming and then decided better of it. Going back, but in the end, not required to perform anything, but maybe just first flashes of this attacking change coming to the fore for Calder.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. I think Spranovic is adding an extra potential threat, and it may just materialise through the last 25 minutes of this game. Spranovic against two opponents. South Melbourne defenders prevail. Looks as though South are getting Julia Budiongo ready on the sideline. We saw her for about 10 minutes on Monday. Young forward. Taranto. Sinclair straight to Johnson, who hooks it away. Hazen is happy to watch it go into touch, and so fourth official is... Oh, we've got a yellow card here for Adriana Taranto. Obviously said something the referee didn't like. And Nat Martineau, who came on in the first half almost as an emergency sub to recalibrate the team, is replaced here in the second half by Julia Budiongo.
Well, she did cop a rather heavy knock when she did score. Potentially could be precautionary, could be just the fact that she was never meant to play more than an hour or so in this game, and Coach Sam Young has decided, well, I'm sticking to that, even if it is a bit awkward with the substitutions, but well, she had an important impact.
Has come off almost to the minute in the first half that she came on. She came on in the 21st minute in the first half and is off in the 20th here. So Budiongo has gone into a centre forward position, and Caitlin Pickett has dropped a bit deeper into the role that Martineau was occupying. Budiongo, also another ex-Geelong Galaxy player, of which there are quite a few in this South Melbourne team. Withers. Spranovic turns and looks up at a line of blue shirts and still finds a Calder player. Withers trying to cut it across, and Shields stuck to her task. So much so that it's a goal kick.
That was very well turned from Spranovic there. She knew where her marker was, knew where the ball was going, and then she also knew that Withers was going to be continuing the overlap and found her teammate for another dangerous move from Calder. So they're coming, they're pressing.
This is really what we wanted to see coming into the game. How would the South Melbourne midfield respond to being put under a bit of pressure and having to go back and help out the defence on Monday night? Everyone was able to just keep running forward because it was a one-way procession. This has been a far more even battle, even though the score is 3-1, even though South are on track. The general play has been steadily Calder's way for much of the match. Case in point right here. Sinclair has got a shooting channel open here. Alex Sinclair defers to Withers, and Withers shoots straight at the keeper.
She's got to do better there. I mean, it teed up on the preferred right boot. Pick a side, it was open, but just down straight, and it's going to have to be a very, very, very bad day for Melissa Barbieri if she's getting beaten from a shot like that.
Well, Withers would really...
As Withers would know, the two teammates at Melbourne City.
Yeah, would love to make amends. Has had quite a few looks at goal. Has scored one, but has had a number of chances to score more. And if they keep coming, you can't rule Calder out. South Melbourne perhaps sparked back to life in an attacking sense in this game after a couple of minutes under the pump, and Candela Ferreira-Bass in a tangle with Mel Taranto that sees her go to ground. Corey Kane. Spranovic. Almost nutmegged Pickett by accident there. South Melbourne came away with the ball. Lawson. Sandhu. Back to Lawson. And I'm not sure whether that pass was intended for Sandhu or not, but out it goes.
It's interesting watching South Melbourne build. You can see that there's a clear intention to go down the right flank, and then in response you've got both Kat Goff and Lucy Johnson holding their runs and deliberately waiting as we pause briefly for Sinclair.
Sinclair shakes off Haraxis in on the tight angle. Sinclair went for power And Alex Cheel appeared at the very last frame to put it behind for a corner kick.
It's definitely a concerted strategy from South because, yeah, Johnson and Goff are deliberately hanging back and waiting so they can be arriving just as their teammates on the right flank hit the byline and put a ball in. So normally well, we were discussing Cat Goff's pace, but they're deliberately holding her back and looking for those balls into the box, a weakness they've identified, South Melbourne.
If called a score here, anything is possible. Draw, win. They've got plenty of time, but they must be starting to think it's not their day with the chances that are going to waste. As Medwin wears that corner on the number and puts it back out for another. And the Taranto twins seem pretty happy to cook up some varieties of corner kicks here, whether it's taking the corner direct or a quick little 1-2 between the pair and then they swing across in. Perhaps this is the result of lockdown last year, Joe, that they had so much time in the backyard to think about set pieces between the two of them.
Think of a lot of more things I'd rather think about the set pieces, but to each their own.
This time it's going to be a far more conventional delivery. Dakic was up, and Sinclair is not giving up on that ball. Keeps it in, but couldn't find Kane with the pass. Pickett does take it away. Sandhu. And he's going to yield possession straight back to Calder. Looking into the sun, but very much on top in general play, even though it's South Melbourne who struck twice early in the second half. Ferreira Bass clears, but only as far as Mel Taranto, and then gets her pocket picked by Goff. And this is a chance for Goff to break and show that speed. Not quite top speed though. Wants Budiongo to make a run. And this is the youngster, Julia Budiongo, edge of the box. He's going to hold the ball up and bring it onto her right foot, but no real power behind it in the end.
Yeah, but danger signs there for South Melbourne. You see Goff working the ball onto her left boot and freeing Budiongo. So it's just a move quickly in transition, which the opportunities ostensibly should be coming as Calder chase this game, as we mentioned.
Now, issues here because the referee is going to have to go and calm down Mark Torcaso on the Calder sideline. It seems as though players went running into other players that were sitting on the bench here. Alex Sinclair appears to be the player who went tumbling out of the field of play. She's back up on her feet at least and able to return to the pitch. I must admit, I didn't see that quite as clearly as the Calder bench apparently did, because they're very unhappy about it. Just take a look at the screen to get an idea of... It was Sinclair and Sandhu. Well, it's not too untoward. I mean, they were just running onto the bench, really.
I mean, maybe the frustrations of being down 3-1 unexpectedly. And then perhaps even more so when you have been shading the game and had chances to score, but you've just been unable to take them, the frustrations from the Calder bench.
Budiongo was able to get past Hazen, but not Dakic. Now Spranovic. Cheel looks quick today and gets to the ball before Spranovic. That is a push, but it's going to be a call to throw.
Hey, come over! Come over, Hayes! Come over!
Spranovic can hurl the ball a long way. This one goes just inside the box. Sinclair bringing it down, resumes her little duel with Sandhu. Sandhu clears away.
Good opportunity there for Calder to just box South in and heat the pressure.
See Spranovic able to fend off the challenge initially, but decided against hitting across. Or Spranovic just can't find the right pass and sold Corey Kane into a bit of trouble, a 1-on-2. O'Brien and Kane, and no one's there down the left flank for Calder. Sandhu again, not for the first time in the last 10 minutes, just finds the safety of the touchline.
South players dropping deep. Budiongo and Goff will get a running start if they can force a move in transition, but right now they've got to worry about these veteran smart players, Spranovic and Sinclair for Calder.
Medwin will take the ball out of the penalty area. Budiongo is a lone hand up top for South Melbourne at the moment. You see the dreadlocks bouncing around, unable to put a foot on the ball in the end.
Feels somewhat churlish to say when her side's down 3-1, but Sardo has put in a pretty decent shift today. Goff hasn't been able to get out in space on that left flank, even if maybe South are deliberately doing that in the second stanza.
Adriana Taranto outrunning Ferreira Bass. And Haraxis
good challenge
in on Sinclair. Even though Sinclair protested, I agree with you, Joey. Good challenge. Budiongo brings it off into the path of Pickett. Now Caitlin Pickett biding her time, plays the pass. Budiongo got back in front of the ball. Squaring it back, straight to Mel Taranto. Taranto from deep, intercepted by Cheel. Ferreira Bass's pass invites in Withers, but Lucy Johnson calm with Medwin. And now Goff. Johnson tried to roll away from Mel Taranto, but couldn't do so. Swallowed up, has a sore ankle as a result. Called to take the ball away. Sporanovic trying to roll off Cheel. Suntu comes in to help out.
She's holding a hamstring or a calf, perhaps, Johnson. She's in a bit of pain.
I think it might have just been a kick to the calf and might have brought on a cramp. As we see Johnson stretching in the meantime. South is still on the attack. Budiongo, edge of the box, 1-on-2. Eventually closed down by Maya Hazen. Johnson still very sore. Time steadily becoming the enemy for Calder. 15 minutes plus stoppage to go. Throw in to be taken by Suntu. Pickett. Ferreira Bass. Now Cheel. Sporanovic has come a long way into the defensive half here to win possession back for Calder. And now tries to launch into an attack, but Suntu is quick. And Akeisha Suntu able to outpace Laura Sporanovic and just nick the ball off her toes by running in front of it. Ferreira Bass back in the other direction. South know that one more goal puts them out of reach here. Pickett. Goff lurking in the box, but the cross won't arrive. O'Brien clearing. After absorbing quite a bit of Calder pressure, it now feels like South Melbourne have got themselves back on top, even if it's only for a brief spell.
Indeed. This would have to be an absolutely massive confidence booster for South if they were able to hold on or even get one more coming up against Calder with bodies to come in as another ball's whipped in.
And Goff at the near post. And Daloste saw it all the way, able to hold on. Again, not much power behind it. Really just a touch on rather than a proper shot. Ferreira Bass, Medwin missed the return pass. Sporanovic trying to capitalise. Withers is away. It's 1-on-1 for Withers again. Around Barbieri, and Calder are back in business.
Indeed, game on, Taylor. Game on. Harry Withers, speed kills, just able to sprint away from the defence.
And 2 goals on her left foot today, this time after rounding Melissa Barbieri. Clearly, that has been what she's needed, because she's had about 5 chances on her right. They haven't gone for her, but she's got a double to her name, and who knows, there might be more on the way.
Indeed, and it's been a few occasions today where she's just needed to show a little bit more composure and figure out what she's going to do. Well, in that case, showing great composure and great awareness to just round Barbieri and then finish into an open net, and it really is game on now.
And it didn't take much, did it? It actually felt like we were working towards South Melbourne scoring a first, but just one well-timed pass, a good finish, and all of a sudden, South are going to have to sharpen up.
I mean, Withers is a new addition, but Calder do that so well. They'll just get a chance, go bang, and all of a sudden, everything that you thought was happening in the game has changed, but now South coming down the left flank.
Budiongo didn't have the presence of mind to play it early to Goff, and so they've overcooked it a bit. Calder will come away with the ball. And this is danger here because it's Withers against Haraxis again, and Haraxis does very well, does not get rolled, and so takes the ball away.
You can just see the increase in tempo in Calder's play, though. That goal has really put their tails out. They have found another gear in its aftermath. That's an excellent run.
Nice from Medwin. Now Budiongo. Battle of the 2 Julias as Sardo gets the better of her on this occasion. Clearance not quite decisive, but Corey Kane made it work. Now another long ball. This one asking a bit much as Barbieri is going to come out to the edge of the box. Oh, don't come unstuck. And Barbieri eventually knew where the paint of the line was and collapsed down onto the ball.
A few nervy moments in this one for Barbieri.
I'll be honest, that's the last keeper you would expect that from. Melissa Barbieri.
You just see she hand to her chest there in the aftermath as well. She knew it.
As you said straight away, Joe, the mood has changed here at Keilor Park. Medwin sends this one long. Budiongo's dug deep for a couple of runs already. She's not going to chase this one at top speed. Sato sets the runners going again. The touch from Haraxis sends Adriana Taranto down to the byline. Over the head of Spranovic, though. Spranovic lays it back. O'Brien. How she would love to make amends for those 2 goals coming down her flank. Here's Mel Taranto unleashing off the boot. Maybe promising enough, but it was always bending wide rights. So you wonder, is either team going to turn to the bench again? South have got Miriam Anvari and Chiara Hronopoulos, a couple of young attack-minded players, and Freya Crocker, their spare keeper. Calder have 3 even younger players, Ava Grover, Olivia Saron, and Navleen Kaur.
Looks like we will be seeing a sub from South Melbourne.
Mariam Anvari. I wonder who she's going to replace. She is an attacker, so could it be Kat Goff?
Well, we've seen there, she's gone over to the right flank, has Kat Goff.
And maybe, knowing she's on borrowed time, is going to try and impact the game right here. Goff loads up. And even though Del Oste has the setting sun to contend with, she saw that one all the way.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens here. Could it be with the adjustment up front from South?
Could it be Caitlin Pickett had that headed chance earlier in the half? That could have made it 4-1 as well. Right now it's 3-2, and so the board will go up.
And it will be Kat Goff.
So Goff, a hat-trick against Bulleen, just not quite her day today. And you credited it earlier in the half. Julia Sato has been a big reason for that.
And she's holding her hip as well, Goff, and she's just gone over to the touchline, and you can see there just in front of the ball, she hasn't actually made an attempt to go to the South Melbourne bench, so this might actually be an injury and forced substitution rather than a tactical one. And did notice maybe Goff throughout the second half wasn't flashing that pace that we have seen from her, especially in rounds 1, and that might be the reason why. Hip injury, not what we want to see.
Anvari involved straight away. Now Lawson. Anvari, a South junior, coming through their under-19s team. Cheel. Here is Miriam Anvari. So diminutive in stature. And loses out to Corey Kane. Plays it to Withers, who's got a bit of lead time to try and build up some speed. Cheel chasing back. Withers may not be caught here. Is going to cut onto the right side. Withers shooting straight at the keeper.
Once again, speed kills. Probably could have been closed down a little quicker there to prevent the shot, but didn't happen, and Barbieri forced into action. But Withers, well, I was about to say she's been growing into the game, but she's had her chances all game, but maybe that the confidence of that goal that before really could come to the fore as we conclude this one.
Tell you what, if Withers equalises and walks away from this game with a hat-trick, I'm going to be really torn on if she's actually been outstanding.
Yeah,
there have been so many chances that she could have scored.
She could have had a double hat-trick if she gets one in the end.
It's, I don't know, maybe we're being hard markers because it's a W League player coming back to the NPL. If it was, you know, Julia Budiongo or Mariam Anvari, we'd be doing cartwheels at a breakout young Victorian prospect, I suppose. Anyway, free kick. And here is perhaps the chance for Calder to draw level with plenty of time left in the game. High, hopeful ball. Oh, Sinclair met it first time, and it's sprayed wide off the instep, but couldn't get it on the target.
Now, that is an absolute let-off for South Melbourne there. They literally had every player except Anvari back defending that crossing, yet still somehow Sinclair gets an open shot on goal, just unmarked. Real let-off there for Hellas.
83.5 minutes. Barbieri is going to take the goal kick as short as possible. Haraxis gets caught in possession. Sinclair, and it goes across the face. and Calder have racked up a catalogue of chances in this game that they have not been able to score from.
Well, if the crossing was a let-off, I'm going to struggle to find an accurate term to describe that. Just, good Lord, just when you're defending a lead, you just need a bit more composure than an unsighted backheel to your goalkeeper under pressure in the penalty area.
Well, Haraxis, who's done a lot of good defensive work in this game, you just hope that the veteran presence, both Cheel and Barbieri around her, will be able to keep her head in the game here and not let it rattle her for the rest of the match.
I'm not sure if South Melbourne do film study as a team, but if they do, might be hearing about that one during the week.
So another free kick. The last one missed all the heads and ended up on the boot of Sinclair.
And there's two free corner players at the back post.
Lots of shouting as the free kick goes to Corey Kane, cuts it across, and it's sliced back to Barbieri by one of her defenders. Maya Hazen was the player who potentially could have turned it in. Instead, the ball never arrived. Sato brings it down, and Anvari will capitalise here. Can South score against the run and put themselves out of reach? Caitlin Pickett. Forced wide by Hazen. Pickett cuts it back, and Kane, no-nonsense clearance and a chance to run onto the ball. Barbieri, keeper sweeper, coming well out of her area. The ball didn't have enough juice on it to be picked up, and so Barbieri gets it away, and we almost get our first touch here in the scaffold. Ball to continue to attack. Sinclair turning, keeping the ball in. Ferreira Bass chasing back after her. Sinclair stopped and chopped in. Now Medwin having a nibble at the ankles and gives away a free kick. 86 minutes ticked by.
Alex Sinclair, she's won Players Player of the Year so many times, but she'll never stop fighting, will she, Alex Sinclair? I don't think there's any striker, attacker you'd want on your side chasing a late equaliser more than Alex Sinclair.
And having won a free kick about 5 metres in from the quarter circle, it's Adriana Taranto to take. Puts it right on the goal line, and Barbieri with good hands. And
that's got to be a free kick.
Some very foul-looking contact that has not pushed her over the goal line. In any case,
it would have been a free kick if it did.
And, Jasmine Steger right there on the scene. Barbieri, you see a bit of a sore back after getting that knock. South Melbourne, can they lock it down? Can they win 3-2? Calder making a charge here. O'Brien intercepts, and then Pickett gives possession back. Hazen, Mel Taranto. The defending champions of 2019, they've been headed. They were down by 2 goals, and the number 1 contender is here, still clinging onto a lead late in the game. Corey Kane has played a number of threatening long balls. Medwin up for this one. Looks up the field and then gets caught as she tries to clear on the left, then on the right. Sato. Mel Taranto. Dakic plays a long ball here. And Sporanovic was coming back from an offside position. And eventually the shouts of the South Melbourne defenders get the referee's attention.
Just as we tick over with just over 120 seconds of regulation remaining in this one. The second half, it has lived up to expectations, hasn't it? South coming out and appeared as though they were going to put their foot on their throats of Calder with a 2-goal advantage, but Calder, as they had in the first half, shading it despite shipping more goals, and Withers getting a brace, and it's all happening. We should be in for a barnstorming finish here, Taya.
Anvari has asked a couple of questions of the Calder defence since coming on, and again pressing right to the front once, twice, and you can hear how much the bench appreciate this because it's all seconds off the clock and Calder down the wrong end as far as they're concerned. And they give up possession as well. They'll take their time here. Sandhu down towards the corner. Is Lawson going to go to the corner? Looks like it. Spranovic comes in to try and take the ball away, but can't do so. Don't know how much stoppage there's going to be, so it might be a bit early to go to the corner. That's what South Melbourne are going to do for now, though.
Well, we didn't get any in the first half, did we? So
Fourth official's marking the board, but hasn't shown his hand just yet. In the meantime, a series of throw-ins and scrambles over the ball down in this corner, trying to wind the clock. Sandhu this time has Lawson for company. It's become a wrestle. And again, it remains trapped down in that corner.
See the frustration of Sinclair and Withers up front. They're just dying for Calder to get this out there and knock a ball forward.
Corey Kane and Laura Sporanovic go in, and eventually, it's a corner. So still South Melbourne. And are we going to see a card here? We are. Corey Kane has talked their way into the book. Well, why are they all running in to defend?
I mean, it's going... Whoa, it's not going short. Look at... Oh, no, it is.
It's going short. So maybe a bit of... Oh, Johnson is going to accept the invitation to put it in the box. In at the near post. Calder can't prevent it going behind for another corner. 4 additional minutes.
4.
So if we're going to have 4 minutes of this, it's going to be a real grapple to the finish line.
Well, I mean, if you are South, I mean, your 2 second-half goals did come in from crosses on the right flank, so if Calder are just going to back it off and give it to you.
Keisha Sandhu gets booked for time wasting. Corner gets taken. And they are going to take it down to the corner. This is going to be a marathon time-wasting session if we're going to have 4 minutes down in the corner. Eventually, Calder get the ball. They've just got to pump it into some open space here. And that's exactly what Taranto attempted to do, but hooked it back towards the touchline, and Cheel puts it out for another throw. Not quite. Spranovic kept it in. Clever. Hazen now finds Adriana Taranto. Calder can turn and go. Feels like the ball has been set loose and is back alive again. And Cheel plays it into the crowd. Withers.
See, Budiongo's got all the way back from her attacking position to basically becoming a 5th defender on the defensive line. All hands on deck for South.
This high ball, Barbieri, goalkeeper with the knee raised, just defending a space and territory, is out to hold on.
As is her right.
1 minute of additional time ticked by. 3 to go. Kane off the thigh. It's going to fall to Lawson. Jenna Lawson. You can see they've set coordinates for the corner rather than the penalty area here. Pickett. And the ball goes out for a call to throw. So again, they have to go end to end.
See, now it is Withers dropping a little deeper to present an option.
Kane is going to lift a high ball, but straight to Alex Cheel. Sporanovic against Johnson. As of right now, it's Lucy Johnson's goal that's the match winner. And guides it down to the corner once again. Now Hazen against Pickett. And Hazen does well, just got a toe in to extract it from the corner. And it's a call to throw. Mel Taranto's got a bit of space here to turn and go. And hits the ball long. Withers against Cheel. And Withers managed to knock Cheel over and take possession, all legally. Lifts across. Sinclair was offside. So maybe best for Calder that the ball didn't arrive as play continues in South Melbourne. Put it out for a throw instead.
Getting very, very squeaky now for Calder. Played almost 3 minutes of the 4 of additional time.
Johnson just boots it away.
You see just the numbers that South are getting back in defence. Nobody up there to chase the ball down. And Vari eventually will get there.
So into the last minute of the allocated 4 of stoppage. Calder are going to go over to the right flank. They haven't been down this side of the pitch for 10 minutes or more. Sardo, Taranto, caught in possession. And Vari. And Hazen will sprayed it out for a throw. That'll suit South Melbourne. They can hurl it down into the corner here.
I think maybe Calder getting lucky there that Anvari was cooked from being the one player that had to sprint all the way up beforehand. Maybe a bit more refreshed Anvari is jumping on that one and taking it towards goal to seal it.
So Medwin down to Budiongo. She plays it central, and that's not the pass that they needed because it goes straight to Corey Kane. Is this the last chance for Calder? Haraxis backtracking, beaten to the ball by Withers. Withers to Sinclair. Holds the ball up and back to Withers. Sporanovic is waiting, and that cross is nowhere near her as it goes through the penalty area and out eventually for a South Melbourne throw as stoppage time expires.
Well, Lucy Johnson's intervention there was key as Calder realising they're not going to get the throw. And pretty much if South can throw this in and boot the ball upfield, they'll win. We've had that much time, but Lucy Johnson's intervention, there we go.
South Melbourne's perfect start to the season continues, and they make a statement away at the most recent NPL Victoria Women's Champion. A 3-2 win at Keilor Park. What a result. They were up 3-1. Calder threw everything at them and very nearly grabbed an equaliser by the end.
No, well, you used a boxing analogy in the second half, Teo, and really, you bang on. You can't win the championship, you can't win the premiership in round two, but South Melbourne, you would certainly have to say, based on round one and now this 3-2 win over Calder, they are the #1 contenders for Calder's NPLW championship. It's such impressive performances from them in round one and round two. I remember in 2019 they needed a last-second goal against Heidelberg in the last week of the regular season to make finals, at which point they were promptly thumped 6-1 by Calder. The growth that they've undergone just as a unit, as a team, bringing some players in, they're looking really, really good, and it looks as though these two sides will be battling it out for the premiership and championship in the months ahead.
Calder, they will lament umpteen chances, 10 good opportunities to score. They took 2 of them, but they squandered many others in this game. Just to recap the scorers before we say good afternoon. Lucy Johnson scored first in the 5th minute. Harriet Withers equalised in the 37th for 1-1. Then 2 goals in 2 minutes. Nat Martineau and Lucy Johnson in the 49th and 51st minutes before Harriet Withers scored her second in the 77th. More chances would come. None of them would hit the back of the net, and it finishes 3-2. Joey Lynch, final word.
Well, just, yeah, Calder, it's not a complete disaster for them. Like you said, they had the chances to win it, and maybe if you are Coach Mark Torcaso and his staff, you'll be saying once these players play together and get a bit of rhythm, those chances will start finding the net. Maybe even it's a bit of a wake-up call for Calder after such a good season, a reminder that you are in a fight and this is a competitive league. So they had their chances. They'll go back, lick their wounds. A big game for Calder ahead as I look ahead. They've got Bayside away next week, so would be favoured to win that one. Chance to bounce back. South next time out. Looking down at this, I haven't written it down. Apologies for that, but no, it should be a good season ahead, and hopefully sting up the tail for Calder to bounce back.
On behalf of our broadcast partner, Sportscast Australia and Joey Lynch, my name's Teo Pellizzeri. Thank you for your company. And we leave you with scenes of South Melbourne celebrating out on the field after their 3-2 win against Calder United. Good afternoon.